So we're on our green 45 1.4, and as you may remember when we were doing the air conditioning that the main earth connection had broke. It was weak anyway. We had to put a temporary connection on. We're going to be putting a more permanent connection on that, and also the mains lead, which of course comes from the positive of the battery, goes up to the main fuse box there, and also winds its way down. This might be a job to see. Down into the starter motor down there. We had a couple of problems where the starter motor wouldn't turn the car over. We found that if we wiggled this about, it then worked. So we assume there is a problem with that lead. So what we're going to do is actually remove it from the fuse box. As you can see, it comes off of the main fuse there, it's just bolted on, and also remove it down from in the starter motor, just down there. Remove the lead off, check it, and what we're also going to do is put the quick release battery terminals on here. So remove these and put them on to give us easy quick release movement. Hopefully we'll be able to show you a bit more of that and show you the job finished as well. Just a quick little video, this one, just to show you this little update. So just a little quick shot now underneath the car, and that you can see in the middle of the screen is the starter motor. You can see the mains positive lead up at the top, and then if you follow where the ratchet is going, that's going on to the earth lead. And what we're going to actually do now is remove the starter motor with the wiring, and then we can check both the main earth lead and the red mains positive lead all up on the bench, and that's what we're doing, removing that, because it does look like the bolt that's holding the mains positive lead is pretty seized on. That's why we decided to move the starter motor off as well, and that'll give us a good look at all of it up on the bench. Right, so we've now got the starter motor removed from the car with all the leads. Of course, you've got the earth lead here, and that end here goes off to the starter motor here on the mounting points. That would fix on there. The mains positive lead going to the solenoid. You've got the connection from the ignition, and as you can see there, if I can't lift that up, that is really sort of rusted and corroded, so that's why we've removed it, to save trying to fiddle getting it off and it breaks or shears off. Hopefully we can sort that out. It allows us to check all the wire in the positive lead and the earth lead. This is pretty dry in here, so it'll let us lubricate that also, and finally we'll then be able to change the original ends to the quick release ends. So hopefully we'll show you all that next. And just to add to that, this starter motor was really stiff and difficult to remove, but it did eventually break away from the housing that it's attached to. What we're probably also going to do, as we've got the time, is clean it up and paint it as well, and that just gives you another look there at where the mains lead connects onto the solenoid. So yeah, as you can see, that is quite rusty and certainly needs cleaning up, and it's just a case of hoping it removes okay.
I don't like the feel of this at all. I really don't. Look, can you see the whole thing's turning?
So as you've just seen, we've put some WD on that and trying to remove it, but it is very, very tight, and the whole thing really is probably an example of how what we hoped would be a more simpler job of just checking some terminals has turned into a much bigger job, but in the end of it will be a much better job, and certainly look a lot better when we're finished. So as you know and you've seen, we had trouble getting the bolt out, it was more or less rusty off of the solenoid of the starter motor, and we've tried letting it soak in WD, using that electric sort of impact tool, and the last attempt, as I've just shown you, was heating it up in the hope that it would come off, but as we expected, it did snap off. As you can see, it really was rusted on, and that really has put an end to the solenoid and the starter motor, and we think actually it was quite worn, or was possibly having problems or even getting hot. So we're going to order a new starter motor. So while we're waiting for that, what we're going to use that opportunity to do is to replace these leads here. That's the positive and the negative lead, so we've got those ready there, and also we've got the do make all that lead up, and hopefully we'll show you a bit of it and show you it at the end as well. And of course we've also got these as new ends as well. The only bit we're hoping to reuse is this plastic protector to fit over the new leads. So at the moment we're just cutting the wire to the right length using this as a template. As you can see, that's slightly longer than that bit, because we always felt that this wire here was a little bit small, and we're going to do that on all of them, give ourselves a little bit of extra. We're soldering on these ends and putting heat shrink over them, and as you can see, this one, the heat shrink's just peeled back, so you can see how it's in and soldered in on that end. We'll pull that over it and heat shrink on. That bit will be finished, and that's what we're going to do with all the connections, so they're ready to put back on when we do get the starter motor. So that is our positive and negative leads finished and made up. As you can see, we've got the new battery ends on it. We've managed to use the original corrugated plastic to protect the positive lead also. As always, you see us using that gas torch. Always watch out for any sort of fire hazards, and as well as me filming, of course, I'm watching out for that as well. That's the leads finished. It'll just be a case of fitting them on when we get the new starter motor. So the new starter motor has arrived, and as you can see next to the old one, it looks much better. A few improvements we've noticed. One is that this wire has got a nice little cover over it, whereas it seems to be exposed on the old one, and there are two screws, so this solenoid can be removed, whereas it appeared on this old one that it couldn't be. They've put a nice little seal tag on it also. Of course, we've got all our leads that we did while we were waiting for the starter motor to arrive. Now it's just a case of fitting it in. So just a quick little look at the underneath of the engine. where the starter motor goes. Because we had to wait for the starter motor to come, we did plug this with some tissue there just to make sure that nothing could get in or any dampness. And we did remove the underplate, I think I forgot to say that, and some of the I don't think we did move the wing guard, actually just the underplate to give us a little bit more access into it. So what we've also done is we've got the bonnet up on our other Rover 45 just so we can check the layout of the wiring does go right. Obviously we're in a lucky situation to do that. If not, then it is well worth taking a few pictures or noting down where the wiring ran, because it will make it a lot easier putting it back and make sure you don't get anything caught up and have to undo it just to re-thread it through. Right, so what we've also done is left the original nut that came with it right up hard against and give it a tighten, and then we'll use the nut off of the old starter motor as the nut to tighten on to our wire. We've done that because, as you remember last time, it had all seized on and we couldn't get it off. Hopefully this will give us something to get hold of to undo this nut if it ever does seize, and also there's a little bit more thread protected. And we're just cleaning up the mounting surface of the starter motor so that hopefully it's less likely to get stuck on, or certainly won't get stuck on with all the dirt and debris that was left from last time. We may use a small amount of copper slip as well. Right, so all the leads are back, the earth leads are back to the body and down to the starter motor. We've more or less followed the same routes as the original leads were, and it has helped having another car to do that. We've got the mains, the plus leads running down to the starter motor here, and of course this one back to the fuse box over here. And what we have got is the normal, as we would call it, battery clamps, because we did talk about using the quick release ones, but these do go on better and they're easier when you want to charge a car, as the quick release ones make it a bit awkward to get the charging leads on. We'll just go underneath and have a little quick look as well. And finally, just a quick little look, the starter motor's all on. The earth lead goes on the top bolt, which is just out of view. It's 3 bolts holding that on, you can see the bottom too, and of course the solenoid is all connected up. The only one thing we did find is, as you can see, that little wire that goes onto the top of the solenoid was a different connection. We had to put a new end on that, but apart from that, no real problems. Hopefully that's a little guide on how we've changed the positive and negative leads and added a new starter motor. So hopefully that's a little guide on how we did that job. As always, it's not really a how-to, but just a guide that would help you if you do have to do that job, along with all the manuals and specifications that you need to look up. And obviously, as always, watch other videos on similar jobs as well. Don't forget, as always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel as always.